I had a really big choice to make. Okay, do I just suck it up and stick it through in Phuket, or do I jump ship? And so I decided to go back to the States. I will never forget that feeling, and my stomach, you get like a deep stomach ache and you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Welcome to Fruit and Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. And today we have an absolute legend of a guest, Joy Summers. It's an online holistic wellness coach living on the island of Phuket, Thailand. Let's tell you a little bit about us, though. Fruit and Body Podcast is a medicinal mushroom company, again, located on the island of Phuket, Thailand. When you watch this video, we're going to leave timestamps here. That allows you to navigate the podcast much more easily. If you're on YouTube, you can click and choose your chapters because we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff. Again, Fruiting Body Podcast, we're all about the journey, people living on the island of Phuket, and you're going to learn a little bit about their story and what they do in their field of expertise. So without further ado, let's get this started. Okay. Hi, Joy. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can explain a little bit to the audience. We've known each other probably 3, 4, 5 years, but it's always, when I'm up here and you're down there, it's your paths don't cross that often. And then the next thing you know, 2 years can go by. I think the last time I met you would have been down before you went to Mexico, down at originally I was in Naiharn and we ran into each other jogging and we went to Jungala.
Oh, that's right.
That would have been the last time.
One of my favorite places.
Yeah, and then we ate at Rustic in Blue.
You have a great memory.
Do I? Maybe it's the lion's mane I'm taking. Maybe it's the lion's mane. We're going to jump right into this, and just so for the audience so they know, we're going to be telling Joy's story of what she did before Phuket, how she came here, what she's doing here, and what's next for her. And we'll fill in the gaps along the way of her field of expertise. But I think we're going to be focusing a lot on like micro gut biome,
gut health, and biohacking your health and different things to just improve overall health.
That's going to be the main topic of this podcast. So if you're looking for information on that, so let's go as far back as you can in your childhood. Where are you from? What did you grow up? And let's connect that story to Thailand.
Sure. All right. So I grew up actually on a small farm in Southern New Hampshire. Most people don't know where that is on a map. It's about an hour outside of Boston. So starting at a very young age, I was lifting hay bales and scooping out horse manure, cow manure, all of the things, and was an equestrian until I graduated and went to Arizona State University for college. For equestrian or? No, I went for sports marketing and then international business. Arizona was a great place to go to college because the opportunities to get internships and network and meet people in the field of sports was huge, right? So unlike, a New York or Boston where it's like you had to know someone deep inside that career, with Arizona, we had the Super Bowl. We have all of our sports, our all-star games, like all the big events that come, and they always need people to kind of like be the runaround, right? So freshman year, I started a club called the Sports Business Association, which basically pulled everyone that wanted to learn about sports together. And then we brought on, speakers that were in recruiting or sales or sports agents, and then understanding like how we could make a career out of that. So sports was my focus as an undergrad. And then I ended up doing a study abroad in Australia my junior year.
Oh, so did I. Interesting.
Awesome. Where'd you go?
Queensland. I was at Southport.
Okay.
Griffith University. That's the one.
Queensland was my second second option. I ended up going to Melbourne. Okay. And so I was playing lacrosse as a D1 club at ASU. And then
field or box?
Stick lacrosse.
I used to play lacrosse, meaning like indoor or outdoor?
Oh, outdoor.
Outdoor, so the much crazier type.
It was wild. It was really aggressive and really full on, but it was a lot of fun. So I ended up playing lacrosse in Melbourne as well, came back, graduated, And while everyone else started to really like chase their career, I decided to book a one-way ticket to Ireland. And so I was like, all right, got my graduation cap, pack a backpack, and I'm out of here. And this was back in 2009 when couchsurfing.com
Correct.
was really popular. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically it's a website for those of you who don't know. Couchsurfing.com was a website where you could literally you're like, hey, I'm going to Dublin. You'd message a whole bunch of people that were living in Dublin with a spare bed, a couch, a hammock, the floor. I mean, when you're 21, you can sleep anywhere, right? Mm. So booked a one-way ticket and just started couch surfing my way through Western Europe. And I would I'd travel to a city. Maybe I'd get really broke and find a job somewhere. So I would just be like handing out flyers or bartending or whatever I could do to make a couple bucks. And then I was on the next plane to another city. And then from there, I thought it would be great to, walk across Spain. So I did the Camino de Santiago.
Yeah, I saw a buddy just do that on his Instagram. It's the pilgrimage, right?
There's a movie about it actually called The Way. And so I started in Pamplona. I started with running in the bowls, did that for a couple days, and then I ended up walking. And I was by myself the whole time, and...
Was that planned at all, or was it kind of just, you came across this and you're like,
I planned
sure,
it.
okay.
I planned it. I was like, okay, I want to go in July. Great weather. It's going to be hot, but I get to hit two birds with one stone. And then you just meet people along the way that are walking and are on their own journey, right? So for some people it's religious. For me, it was just another adventure. And then, you get to Santiago, to this massive cathedral, and you're walking up. I had my walking sticks and the tears just start rolling down your eyes because you've made it. I was walking almost, between 20 to 40 kilometers a day. I was hoofing it. Most people might break it down in shorter steps.
So what's it, 6 to 8 hours a day?
6 to 8 hours, yeah. Almost, Shit. I mean, between a half marathon and a full marathon a day.
Because it's 700 kilometers or something.
Freaking far.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's little hostels to stay at along the way. Sometimes I stayed at the convents for free. People are so generous with what they're offering for you. One of the highlights, though, was they have a fountain of wine at one of the stops, and it's literally a fountain, and you just fill up your bottle with a glass of red wine. Obviously, Spain is known for their good wine, but so that was one of my adventures. I was living in Mallorca for 6 months. One of my jobs was to be an au pair.
Yep.
So I was living with a German family, and taking him around, teaching him English along the way, and then after Europe, I went to Africa. I went to Kenya and Tanzania. I met my dad down there for a safari. And then when he and my stepmom left, I stayed for another couple months and volunteered at one of the camps inside the national park. So I got to live with the Maasai warriors at this beautiful, I don't want to say holistic resort, but there was no running water. There was no, we were cooking from the coals and the fire. Do you know the Maasai? You know what they look like?
Yeah.
Tall, super dark, really colorful clothes. And they would teach me, A, how to cook over fire, and then B, we'd wake up in the morning and walk through the fields and look at all the tracks, right? And they would be like, oh, there was a giraffe walking through here last night, and then the tiger came. You know what I mean? The whole shuffle. They're so one with the earth. And so I needed a good bath after I left my 2-month volunteer trip there. But yeah, I think that's where my love and passion for traveling really kicked off. And I owe it to couch surfing for, making me tons of friends. It was great for networking. Great.
How long was that? You're doing this about a year?
Almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And when that's all said and done and you're coming back to, let's say, reality, what was that reality? What was waiting for you?
Nothing. It was the pressure of getting back to the States to get a real job and a real home and settle down. And still to this day, that's the pressure, But I made it last for about a year in the States before I was I'm out of here. I'm going to pack up again. And I went to Korea for 2 years to teach English.
You get the travel itch.
I did. It was bad. And I know you taught English as well. Yeah. So very similar experience, going over there. And in that time is when I found CrossFit. And so I was living next to the military base over in Seoul. and started coaching on their base and got my level 1 in Korea. And that was, 2013 at this point when it was just starting to get popular. You'd still ask, you'd still tell someone like, hey, I'm doing CrossFit. And they're like, what's CrossFit? It was like back in those like early days. And we had Asia regionals out there, which was great because it was in Seoul. And that's really where my love of strength training developed.
Did you have any prior experience in that? I mean, obviously this is your life. You've embodied that. Did you have anything like, were you training as a kid in high school, or was it kind of wishy-washy?
So I was playing like sports. I've run 3 full marathons. I've probably done a dozen halves. Cause while I was living in Spain and stuff, there would like a sign would be like, oh, the Barcelona Marathon. And I'd be like, yep, I want to do that, and then fly somewhere else and be like, yep, I want to hit that one. And that was great when I was traveling, but, no real background in weightlifting. And so then when I saw how my body was changing, I saw the community behind it. I saw that this was just like a little, I don't know, a group of like-minded people that were all trying to better their health. I was like, this is my home. And then when you're traveling as well, you drop into a CrossFit gym and you have like these immediate friends and they take you out and they go around. So, couch surfing was one community, and then CrossFit was kind of the next.
Yeah, and were you staying in Seoul for a long period of time, or at this, you've left the U.S., you've had your 2 years of traveling, you've gone off to Seoul to teach English, and you get that travel bug, you want to keep moving. At which point does this start to bring you over to Thailand, or do you end up going back home again and having to reset, let's say?
I did, yeah. I left Korea. I went and hiked Everest Base Camp and did the Annapurna circuit in Nepal. And I was like, all right, this is going to be my last big trip. I'm going to go back to America and I'm going to make this work. I'm like, okay, we're going to give it another try. And sure enough, I got back to America, and, a couple months later, I was already on the hunt looking for jobs abroad. And that brought me to Abu Dhabi. So I had a connection there, a CrossFit gym. And the really cool thing about coaching CrossFit as a female in a Muslim country was that I was able to coach these women, full covered. Okay. We would have the class time. They'd come in. We would close the curtains. We would lock the doors. Cameras would go off. And for that 1 hour, I had them in their true vulnerable self, right? Because if you're a Muslim woman, and you're practicing and you have the abaya and the burqas and stuff, no one gets to see what you look like underneath. But I did. And I was thinking, I was like, what other profession in the world could have that kind of a relationship with these women? Right? And they're covered all the time, and they probably don't feel good about their bodies. It's definitely not a culture that like promotes sports and health and strength training and stuff. And so starting this program for women only was really rewarding, getting to have that kind of relationship with them and show them that strength training is a beautiful thing. But that only lasted 3 months before I ended up getting a job in Chiang Mai.
Okay.
And so came to Chiang Mai, CrossFit Chiang Mai. Mark is the guy that runs the ship up there, and he's amazing. And so started coaching in there. There was a competition where I was reunited with Luke and Elise Richmond. Do you know who they are?
No.
Okay, they are from the Soy, like years ago, and they have been around forever. So I met Luke back in 2011 at Asia CrossFit Regionals in Korea, and then fast forward like 6 or 7 years, and I reunite with them in Chiang Mai, and he's like, well, look, like I live in Phuket, I'm coaching at this gym, I'm leaving soon, and we're looking for a replacement coach. And I was like, oh, well, I've never been to Phuket, don't know anything about it, but yeah, sounds great. So came down to Phuket, which is crazy because I think that most people that get jobs here, they come here first, see how amazing it is, want to stay, and then try to find a job. And I think that I was unique in the sense that I had never been, just came blind and open, and then found the Soy.
And you had everything kind of lined up as well.
Yep.
Before we jump into your life in Phuket, anyone that's listening out there, I think the first thing where people, they can get standoffish or they get, they're afraid to plunge in is the question of how do I make those contacts to go to South Korea, to go to Dubai? Let's focus more on the Dubai side. Like now you've went to South Korea. Okay. That's pretty clear. You're able to find English teaching jobs abroad quite easily, but that contact for you to actually getting to Dubai again, was that just online and hunting and trying to find work abroad?
I have to say that I've been really blessed with the power of networking skills. So I think most of the jobs and the opportunities that I've had have come from people that are in my circle. I think like power of the gab for one, just like good high energy. But I love connecting people, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the networking side. So yeah, that job specifically was from a friend. And especially in CrossFit though, everybody talks, right? Everyone knows someone from somewhere that can kind of put you in touch. So if you are someone that's looking into traveling, finding a job abroad, those kind of things, I mean, power of social media right now, guaranteed someone in your network has some other contact that they can put you in touch with. But, traveling solo too, especially for people that have, never stepped outside of their home country or something, just got to be open, right? You have to take that first plunge. I mean, the biggest tip is like, buy the ticket, because once you buy the ticket, you're not going to let that money go, right? So book it a couple months in advance, pack your suitcase, make all the arrangements and stuff. And once you get to wherever your destination is, you figure it out, right? It's sink or swim. Like you're not going to let yourself sink. So you're going to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I can vouch for that as well. A lot of the times, if you overthink it, you might not do it. And for me personally, I've never kind of experienced that. It's, once you have that idea, just do it. And when I get there, I'll figure it out once I'm there. And I think that's half the fun as well. When you overexpose yourself to all the answers, you're revealing what's behind the curtain instead of kind of plunging in and taking that opportunity to learn the mystery. What were the major differences when you were training and teaching in Dubai versus South Korea? Not so much about like the social cultural norms, but the individuals themselves in terms of high energy, interacting with them, even getting involved in their personal communities as well. Did they let you in that easy, or could you just talk about that in general?
Sure. So in Korea, I had two groups of CrossFitters. I had the military, right, who was, very regimented, very disciplined, focused and stuff. And then I had the Koreans. And when I was competing, I had Koreans on my team. And so when I went to Korea, there was 2 CrossFit gyms in the entire city. When I was trying to find a job, I told my recruiter, I said, look, I want to be within a mile of one of these gyms. And within 2 years, over 200 gyms popped up. Reebok took on such a big presence. So I think in Korean culture, they follow each other, right? They really follow kind of like what's the trend, and they want to be cool and wearing all the gear and all that sort of stuff. And I think in the Dubai culture is a little bit more reserved because people aren't as into fitness. They're not as, it's changing now, but when I was there, it was definitely a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, I mean, you do notice that, I don't want to talk down on Dubai, but usually, like Surrey Beach, you get tons of people from Dubai, and like 99% of them are just not in shape. And I've always wondered, because I've never been to Dubai, honestly. I know I see you go there quite often.
It is a cool city.
I have no passion to go there. And it's mostly, I think, getting stuck in Phuket, you get a bit scared to leave this bubble again. I don't really get that travel bug living here, but watching these people from Dubai, I've always wondered, like, what are they doing on the day-to-day living in this country? What would you see, like, the, average, person in society? What are they doing on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, man, Dubai has great beach clubs, great restaurants. The fitness scene now is booming. Their gyms are, like, next-level gyms. They're getting really big into, like, lots of meal prep companies. Right. So like we have Pure Prep on the island, which is my favorite macro counted meals. They have like 8 to 12 different companies over there that just do that specifically. So it's definitely on the rise. Good nightclub scene. There's some nice beaches, boat trips. But yeah, it's a very flashy
it seems like
place.
Everyone's very,
and it's very young. It's a very young crowd in Dubai as well. Like you don't see elderly walking around the desert.
And these places, like, even Seoul and Dubai, they're definitely, if you're a digital nomad, more expensive cities to live in comparable to, let's say, Istanbul or Chiang Mai, which are some of the cheapest, right?
So I was just there, and Dubai has set something up that's really cool, which is called the freelance visa. So if anybody's listening to this and is like wondering like, where could I settle down or, you know, at least get established for a bit, they offer a great package. I think I paid about $4,000. I hired an agency to help me get everything set up. So now I can, you know, work remotely from there. Great for my American taxes, and it's all legal, right? So now I have my Emirates ID and my bank account.
Now you can just come and go as you
come
please.
And go. Yep.
And if you didn't have that as an American, what are the original restrictions? Like,
nothing. You get I believe a 30-day visa on arrival, and then you'll have to leave and come back or do the visa.
And this freelance visa, you're paying per year. Is it a 5-year?
I paid $4,000 for 3 years.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
It's fabulous. And there's no like you have to be there for X amount of time. I can pop in, pop out. I will say it's more expensive than any city I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so than Ibiza, more so than Europe. It is like chicken, rice, and veg might go for $30.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you are a digital nomad, it's probably not first on the list, but
no.
Phuket's starting to open up. I think there is a digital nomad visa coming out. Have you heard?
I heard about it.
Yeah, it's kind of just in the air a little bit. I'm not quite sure either.
I think it'd be great to get more tourists and people that want to be here and spend their money, you know?
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with Thailand in general. And I have a lot of friends that left and they went to Mexico and places like Nicaragua because if you stay in these places like Thailand and whatever, Phuket for 10 years, you never get your residency. But these other countries you can. And that can be a deal breaker because, you know, if you're not married or to a Thai or in a relationship with a Thai and you come and build a life here and something happens, it could be all taken away from you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but just that security is enough for people to make those decisions. Especially nowadays, you're noticing, you know, from the current situation, people starting to go abroad and live abroad and being able to, you know, work remotely. They've seen this work, so. Let's see what happens. Let's fast forward to your Phuket days. And originally you were training at Tiger Muay Thai.
No, I started at Unit. I started at Unit 27.
You started at Unit 27, but then you moved over to Tiger?
I moved over to Tiger.
And at Tiger, you were doing the strength and conditioning primarily?
No, I started the CrossFit affiliate.
Okay.
So we had a CrossFit program. I mean, they built a huge facility, like a huge CrossFit area just for us. I hosted a couple CrossFit competitions, and the coolest thing about the Asia CrossFit competition circuit is that everyone's flying in from everywhere, right? So you have all these different nationalities and cultures and stuff coming. And so, okay, this is the example. In the States, when you have a comp, the gyms will show up and like this gym will be here and then the next one, and they all pop up their coolers and their chairs with their specific gyms. But in Asia, right, everyone is just cheering each other on, and, you know, it's like a big reunion and a catch-up because we're all kind of chasing that same competition circuit. So, yeah, it was called the Island Battlegrounds. Maybe someday I'll bring that back to Phuket. And maybe even up here in Bangtao would be a great place to host a competition.
Yeah, you're starting to see a lot of people coming up to the Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA, and they're all wearing their AKA shirts and Tiger shirts, so...
It's a melting pot, right?
Well, I'm starting to wonder what's going on. I have a feeling. I haven't asked the question. Hopefully those gyms don't get mad at me because I've had Mike Swick on before. Sorry, Mike. But it seems to me that if I was to guess, they're coming to Phuket, they're starting at those gyms, then they're getting wind of what's up here, they're visiting it, and they're not going back. That's my guess.
I mean, there's a certain magic to the soy that I don't think you can ever replace. You know,
the community there.
The community.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
You might follow specific coaches. You know, I think, you know, facility speaking, right? Theirs is brand new and it's fresh and stuff. But yeah, I think that the community, the vibe and the feel on the soy, I mean, yes, it's slower. It's different than it was pre-COVID days, but even training there now, it's still a piece of magic. It's
a real community, not just in terms of the gyms, but I mean of all the other facilities. It's this one street with the massage parlors. Not in that way, but if you need recovery, you got Float Indigo down there. tons of healthy restaurants to eat at.
It's so
the physio
easy to
down
find good
there.
food. Yeah, great physios, pharmacies that know all kinds of like, things that you need for sports injuries and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely the community. But
I see it coming up here, but it's going to take time.
Yep.
Slowly, you'll start to see these restaurants. One will pop up. I heard Ollie's might be popping up here.
Really?
Someone was saying they're coming up here. Once people move up here, I don't know if we have this like turf war.
Yeah.
Like this.
I was wondering, I was like, are people getting mad? Like, I don't know what's going on.
I think to hit the nail on the head, it's the distance to the beach.
Right.
That's the game changer. And the fact that like when you're in these places like Rawai, well, you're not going to go to Rawai Beach, you go to Naiharn. But you always need to jump on a main road of some sort where there is traffic and it's not as pleasant. But over here, it's very back roads. Mm-hmm. So like you're at the gym and you kind of pop out and there's like 2 motorbikes you'll see ripping around, and then you're at the beach in 2 seconds. And that's kind of one of my arguments. Well, for myself personally, I'm like, I'd love to live at the Soy and down there. The community's great. But then when you're on the Soy, you're another 15 minutes to Naiharn. And when you come to an island like Phuket, it's, you're here for the beach as well. It's a big part of it. And that's kind of why I always had that mental battle. Damn, do I move down there? Do I stay up here? Because there's not much of a community up here. There never has been.
And it could get that way.
It could, but you're talking a couple.
A while, yeah. This is my first time in 6 years that I've not lived in Geelong. So I'm living in Rawai, and I'm loving it. Loving it.
Why did you make that decision?
Because I had heard everybody had moved to Rawai. And so I was like, you know what? Let me give this a try. So, I booked a hotel for a couple weeks, my first couple weeks here. And then I was just like, I'm not going back. It's easy to get to Geelong. It's easy to get to Naiharn. There's so many more restaurants, lots of different things. But I'm a gym hopper. I love the communities and the energy at each gym. So I might go to Naiharn gym for some strength training. I'll go to Unit for some HIIT classes, pop into Tiger to see my old friend, so I've never been stuck with one place. I think that each place you go to has its own feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to easily hop around compared to, I don't know if the average person went down there, like, do you have these memberships or the day passes? How does that work?
Unit's great because it's per class. So you just get a block of classes and then pay per class. The thing with unit classes is, as a strength and conditioning coach, I don't think that you need that style of class every single day. I see way too many people overtraining and doing these like high intense sessions. But 2 to 3 days a week, hop in there for the community. I mean, it's full energy at Unit. And then I'll hop over to Naiharn gym, get in my bodybuilding, my strength sessions. And there you have to pay week to week, month to month.
And that's the beauty of Phuket. It's really not that expensive.
It's really not. No, you can have multiple memberships to different gyms, and it's still not that expensive.
Yeah, I did 10 days once at Unit. That's when I think we first met. We met at a party we talked about a long time ago. That was briefly, and then quickly we ran into each other. I was down at Unit 27 for 10 days.
And what was your experience there?
Yeah, it was amazing. They definitely kick your ass in a different way compared to up here. Mm-hmm. I prefer it up here because I can train every day. But the thing at Unit 27 is there's so much equipment going on that like the next day you needed to rest. Like even if I trained in the morning, it was quite difficult to train in the evening unless I was doing some sort of.
And the heat kicks your ass. You need a nap after these classes.
They really kick your ass, and they're pushing you in another way as well. Like in terms of, here's a 40 kg ball, go run 300 meters.
Oh yeah, I mean that's part of the fun though. Like they punish you, if you don't get to your station on time or whatever. But it makes it fun, you know. And every time we're doing the punishments and stuff, and everybody is like whinging and moaning, and I'm like, guys, you just paid for this class to be here, Sorry,
those notes are that's our cue for 30 minutes. He just keeps me in line.
30 minutes left?
No, we've been talking
wow,
30 minutes.
Went by so fast.
Yeah. It's one thing I've never explained this on the podcast. I will now anyways. When you're on a podcast, the conversation, it's real, but there's certain aspects that are not real that you have to do for the podcast. Meaning when I'm talking, you have to do the head nod. But if we were in the conversation without the mics, we'd be like, okay, interesting. And the reason you can't do that is because when you clip it later or you're listening to it later, you don't want to hear someone going, while the other one's talking. So that's the first time I brought that up.
True. Yeah,
and
it's true.
And I've had some people where they look at you like, why is he not saying anything? Because you start doing this, and they're like, it can come off a bit awkward. But anyways, that's what it is. Let's jump forward. So you went from CrossFit to strength and conditioning, but specifically on the CrossFit side. How did this start to connect to the holistic wellness and online coaching?
So I was a competitive athlete for about 7 years, and it just beat my body up. I mean, the training is so intense, and so I kind of stopped CrossFitting like at the beginning of the pandemic, and I started to focus more on like functional bodybuilding, because I think that some of the methodologies from CrossFit are great, but then I also think that some machine work and just some like accessory stuff is really good. So by combining the two, I noticed that my body completely changed shape. You know, I was thick before. I was a big girl before, you know, and I was strong. I mean, I had a 200 kilo deadlift at one point. And I mean, I could really smash through some weights, but I also wanted to change my physique. So COVID happened. You know, we went 50% on our salaries, which is already nothing of nothing. And I had a really big choice to make. I was like, okay, do I just suck it up and stick it through in Phuket, or do I jump ship? And so I decided to go back to the States like halfway through COVID. And I will never forget that feeling of being at home and my stomach, you know, you get like a deep stomach ache and you're like, what am I doing with my life? You know, here I was, a coach at a gym, and what was I going to do? And where was I going to live, and where was going to make me happy? And so one day I randomly was like, you know, searching on Instagram, and this guy's profile popped up of, he was a business coach of teaching trainers how to become an online fitness coach. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I reached out to him, and we had a phone call, and it sounded great, but it was really expensive. And at that point I had no money. You know, I come from Thailand, not making any money, didn't have a lot of savings. And so I thought about it for a couple months. And finally one day I just woke up and I was like, you know what? The second you pay for something, you have to make it work, right? We talked about like buying the ticket and stuff. I was like, if I'm going to invest in this business coach, I need to figure out how to make it work. He had great testimonials. I mean, the people that were in his program were soaring through success stories. So I was living in Mexico at the time. I was living in Tulum, which is a really cool spot. A lot of digital nomads there too. And I started his program. And within I had 0 online clients. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I can teach you how to squat and deadlift and all these things, but how do I bring that knowledge online, right? It's a totally different ballgame. And so, yeah, I just followed through his protocols and his steps. And within a couple months, I was at like 60 clients. And it has been soaring ever since. And so that's when I really shifted my focus from training someone at the gym, right? Like at this point, I really don't care. Like, of course I want my clients to get to the gym and make sure that they're following the program that I'm giving them. But it's really about the other 23 hours of their day that are going to get them long-term results. And that was when my whole, and call after call, you know, anybody that wants to join my program, we do a 30-minute, you know, free call so that I can get to know them and what their goals and what their issues are and stuff. And after talking to hundreds of people, I realized that everyone has something going on with their gut. Everything starts in the gut, right? And so from there, I was like, wow, this is a commonality now. So I want to dig into this. My mom is a homeopathic doctor. And so we were only raised with herbs and oils and homeopathy my whole life. And so because of that foundation that I had with her, I wanted to start using that practice in my coaching program. And really what holistic means is getting to the root of the problem rather than putting a Band-Aid over the symptom, right? The best analogy that I love is, you know, your gas light goes on in your car, right? You have 2 options. You can either take the gas light out, or you can take it to the mechanic and see what's actually wrong with the car, right? And it's the same thing goes for your health. And I see it way too many times. You know, you go to the doctor for an issue or whatever, and it's just these fast pills, right? Over the counter antibiotics, this, that, all of these things. And you know, they're not asking what their nutrition is like or how their sleep and their hormones and their stress levels are at. They're just like, here's a pill. And then that causes so many other issues. And so that is now my main focus, is how can I help people long-term lose weight, get better gut health, have better sleep, more energy, and balance hormones.
What do you find is, you're saying because of the gut health, now is it the pharmaceuticals, is it the diet, is it a combination of both? When you're listening to your clients, what are they most often saying that kind of, triggers your alarms of what the hell are you doing?
I think mental health, number one, especially, going through the pandemic and stuff, I think everybody's mental health has really just been shot. I think stress levels are higher than they ever have been before. And because of that, we're often retreating to feel-good foods, right? To get that little quick hit of dopamine to help with that mental imbalance. And then from there, processed foods, way too much sugar, not focusing on sleep. So when people come to me, it's often for PCOS, hyperthyroidism, really high blood sugar levels, no energy. They look in the mirror and they just feel like crap, right? And so when that kind of light bulb moment goes off, it's like, okay, hire a professional. It's really hard when you don't know what to do. There's so much information online and it's really overwhelming to understand which direction to go in. And there's a lot of conflicting information out there.
Are you offering them a diet plan and a structure to that?
So I offer nutritional guidance.
Okay.
I think that meal plans fail almost 99% of the time, right? People are busy. They're chasing their kids around. They want to go out to dinner with their friends. So my approach is non-restrictive. I give you tips and I give you these little hacks of ways that you can still drink the glass of wine, have the pizza with your friends, go out on the Friday night and still get results, right? Because I think when we put restrictions on ourselves, that's a short-term answer for a long-term solution. How do we stop this whole yo-yo dieting thing, right? Because anybody that comes with me, I'm like, I don't want to see you gain that weight back. Once this weight comes off, it's off for good because we've changed your habits.
Yeah, have you read the book Atomic Habits?
I started it. I haven't finished it. Yeah.
Okay. I've done the audiobook. It's kind of similar in that sense. It's kind of picking up on these subtle nuances to, improve something as simple as, hey, you saw my pantry downstairs. Well, that's it. My trigger is I can't have any junk food in the house. I cannot have even a bottle. I'm okay with alcohol. I won't drink in the house really that much. Actually, never. But I can't even have cheese in the fridge and crackers. A block of cheese and a bag of crackers won't last the night. So I just don't buy it. Or little things such as I need to go to the gym tomorrow, so I'm going to Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA every day, 9 o'clock for their HIIT class. And the first thing I do in the morning is I fill my bottle of water, I put my shoes on the table, and I put the stuff I need to go there first thing in the morning. So that all morning when I'm doing my shit, I keep seeing it. Because if I don't do that, that gives me 2 hours to talk myself out of it.
Yep.
And I find it works because the hardest part is actually filling your bottle of water or putting your shoes right there ready to go. Once you've done that, you're already there. These are the little things that I try to take on. When you're talking to your clients in terms of this guidance for health and more focus on gut health, specifically, what kind of tips will you give them to, rearrange that diet so they're not eating those, processed sugars and whatnot?
Yeah, cool. So the first thing I like my clients to do is start tracking. So they'll add me as a friend on MyFitnessPal so that I can really dig deep into what they're eating on a week-to-week basis, right? Because most people have no understanding of macros, right? What is a protein? What's a carb? Everybody gets that so confused. And so that's the first step is awareness to your plate, right? And tracking is not for forever. Have you ever tracked before?
I have intensely for a year. So I can look at a plate of food now.
And
I've measured, I've tracked. So
it's tedious, right?
It's tedious. And what's funny is when you stop tracking, you cheat.
Right.
Because it's
it holds you accountable.
Well, for example, I know I can't have 100 grams of carbs, even fruit. But then you just saw me eat a bowl of grapes and sugar. That's way more than that. For sure that is. I would eat, what you have to learn is literally 4 little pieces of cantaloupe is probably all you can eat. So you start to cheat in that sense. But yeah, going back to your point, the tracking, nobody realizes how much, for example, fat they're eating every day. The littlest things I would say that you could adjust, and I'll let you talk about that, was I found cooking oils. 2 tablespoons of cooking oil compared to half a tablespoon is a fucking game changer. You're talking like 40 grams of fat versus 5. And people they just start pouring the bottle right in there. So anyways, I'll let you continue.
Yeah. I mean, it brings a lot of, like I said, it brings a lot of awareness to their plate. So I say, look, this isn't going to be for forever, but it needs to just be for right now. Right. And macros would have been a great topic in math, right? Like do like a whole math lesson on how to track your food, right? But they don't teach us that kind of stuff in school. Yeah. So that would be step number 1. And then step number 2 is I am a huge, huge fan of fasting. Have you ever fasted before?
Always. Every day.
So this is one thing that I do almost every single day. Now, there's a couple different kinds of fasting, okay? The typical intermittent fast would be like your 16 to 8, right? So starting your first meal at 12 o'clock and finishing dinner by 8 p.m., okay? And then in that time eating window, you still need to be getting enough protein and enough of your macros and stuff. But what that does is it really helps our gut reset. And it's also really good for balancing blood sugar levels. So there's 2 main fasting types that I talk about. One is your ketone fast and one is an autophagy fast. So the autophagy fast, so autophagy is the process when your old dead cells, maybe precancerous cells, recycle and fresh new ones come into place. And that kind of happens between, the 16 to 17 hour and beyond. So when you're not having anything except water, black coffee, and tea, that's basically all you can consume during your fasting hours. And autophagy fasting is great for anti-aging and long-term health. So I'll do that a couple days a week. And then the other days I might do a ketone fast. And in a ketone fast, you can drink your bulletproof coffee, you can put collagen powder in your coffee or whatever. And that will still keep the ketones from being released.
You mean adding fats?
Adding fats, yeah. Correct. Good fats, right?
Yeah.
I'll do that a couple days a week. So just by doing my intermittent fasting protocols, I have maintained. I've been traveling for the last year, right? No consistent diet, no consistent training plan, but I really have to, grant the intermittent fasting kind of where I've been able to maintain and keep my levels high.
What can you break with that first fast in the morning?
Oh, this is such a good question. So the number 1 important meal of the day is not breakfast. You know who coined that phrase? John Kellogg of Kellogg's cereal.
Okay.
He said breakfast is the most important meal of the day. No, it's actually your breakfast meal. Okay. The most important meal, it has to be proteins and fats.
Okay.
So I always will break my fast with, eggs and avocado, vegetables cooked in butter, some salsa, some chicken, whatever. But I never touch carbs on my first meal. And the reason for that is because your insulin levels are so responsive at that point. So we need the fiber and then we need the fats and proteins to lower our insulin levels. If you can start your meal with a win, like eating proteins and fats, you're going to win your day. Okay. So meal number 1, proteins and fats. Meal number 2, proteins and carbs, right? Eat the carbs in the middle of your day. That way your body can use it for energy, right? It's not going to store it. It's going to use those carbs for energy. And then I like to finish my last meal again with a higher fat, higher protein meal. So steak and vegetables, chicken, fish, whatever it may be, and always a bunch of vegetables.
Are they well balanced in terms of calories every meal, or is one heavier than the other?
Kind of up to you. Like some clients will start off by drinking a protein shake for their first meal, and then they'll go into a second meal, an hour or 2 later. I'm trying to get people away from snacking and focusing more on those bigger meals. And so in that case, depending on where your calories should be at, most women should be 15 to 1700. I have some girls on like 2100 calories, but if you focus on fuller meals, then you should be able to get in your calories in that 8 hours.
Yeah, I've been following your Instagram for at least well before you got it. It was more when you were on the conditioning strength.
Yeah, you've seen my switch, right?
I saw the switch. Now, you're an advocate behind when people like males come to you and say, I want to lose weight, I should eat less. But your response is no, I bet you can lose weight if you eat more. Can you talk on that?
Men and women. It's great, right? Where did this notion come from that we have to starve ourselves to lose weight? Our bodies don't care that we want to lose weight. Our bodies are trying to protect us, right? So say you should be eating 2,000 calories, but you're really eating 1,200. Your body's not thinking like, oh, he's like, I'm trying to lose weight right now. Your body's saying like, I need to store everything that he's giving me because I don't know when he's going to feed me next. So, I have people that have been on these 1,200 calorie diets for months, not losing any weight. And I'm like, well, that's because your body has completely just downregulated itself, right?
Has it
Because
gone into like almost a hibernation mode?
100%.
Well, it's trying to just
and I don't want to
itself?
say like, you have a slow metabolism, but you have a slow metabolism. And so we need to do a reverse diet. We need to slowly build you back up to maintenance level so that your body can just like take a deep breath and be like, oh, I'm going to get food today. I can let some of this excess go, right? It's a play with your head. And I know that, a lot of people suffer from this idea that we have to eat less to lose weight. But I'm here to tell you, after hundreds of clients that have put this program, this reverse dieting protocol through, that it works.
Yeah, I find, so I fast, so pretty much between 8 till 11, 12.
Yeah, great.
But then I'm working out fasted in the morning, but I've been fasting for like 5 years that like I could easily go to 2. Your body changes and I'm not hungry anymore. And maybe that is kind of brings us back to our roots of, when we were cavemen. I doubt we were getting up in the morning and eating anyways because we had to go find the food, right? We didn't just have a fridge full of food.
I mean, I was the girl that people would make fun of because I always packed snacks in my bag. I was terrified to leave my house without having food on me at all times because of my blood sugar crashes, right? My hypoglycemia, whatever. I mean, and I would have full on attacks because I wasn't eating food. Even though I played collegiate level sports, I was addicted to sugar, right? I thought that because I was playing sports, I could eat all the candy and ice cream that I wanted. And that's where my hypoglycemia came from. And now that I've started practicing with IF, I don't have a single crash. And then like the mental discipline that it takes, right? Now you can go hours beyond the 16 hours. But if someone has never tried fasting before, I'm not going to tell them to go to a 16-hour fast tomorrow. Let's build that up, right? Because that like those hunger pangs, right? They come and you get a little anxious and stuff. Drink a bunch of water, drink some more coffee, and then every day try to push that hour back just a little bit until you get to a sweet spot, right?
Yeah, I find initially I do remember when I started intermittent fasting, it was difficult. And us coming from the Western world, living in Canada, if you remember, like, I don't know what it is living in Asia, but living in Canada, like I would always have hunger pains before bed. And I think that, again, is probably from spiking your insulin levels all day.
Totally.
And I never get that anymore. Now, my diet, I would say about the past 5 years is the first meal I'll do like now a quick protein shake after HIIT in the morning. But I do throw some fruit in there. Is that wrong? Should I remove that fruit and just do the protein?
I love berries, blueberries especially.
Yeah, so I throw blueberry and banana in it.
Okay, so bananas are great post-workout, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna help your glycogen levels, and it's great post-workout. Typically, I don't recommend high levels of fruit because even though it is a healthy fruit and there's gonna be antioxidants and stuff, it will still spike your blood sugar levels, right? So I never tell someone, I'm like, just eat a banana by itself. Anytime that you're eating a fruit, you want to try to pair it with a protein or a fat, right? So eat your apple with a tablespoon of almond butter or peanut butter. Eat it with a slice of cheese, have a handful of nuts and your dragon fruit, something like that, because we want to try to keep those blood sugar levels stabilized.
Yeah, I get snacky on fruit in the day. I snack on like cantaloupe and grapes, and that's kind of fills that void. Or if I really don't want to, I'll just chug a giant glass of water and those hunger pains are gone.
They leave as fast
right
as
away.
they come, I do want to say one thing about fasting for women. Okay, so I put together, it's called my hormonal 30 plan. And because women shouldn't be fasting every single day. And the reason for that is because of our menstrual cycle. So day 1 of a woman's period, great time to start fasting. It's a great time to go more keto-based. Estrogen levels are rising. You have more energy. Your strength training sessions are going to be better. Okay, so day 1 to day like 17-ish. Right? We start ovulating day like 11 to 15. And then as soon as ovulation happens and then progesterone, so estrogen goes down, progesterone goes up. we need to be eating foods that support our hormones. So in that week, the week right before a woman's period, I want them eating more root vegetables. So all of your squashes, butternut, spaghetti, acorn, whatever, beets, carrots, turnips, that whole root family is going to really support your progesterone levels. And it's completely normal for us to be craving chocolate. And so I'm always telling my clients, I'm like, look, don't go buy the Hershey's. I want you to find one with really clean ingredients. Buy a dark chocolate, 75% or over. Look for good ingredients. Have some dark chocolate. It's fine, right? So week before your cycle, no fasting. Your hormones are going to be going all up and down. Have balanced meals throughout that week. And then again, day one, it starts it all over again.
On that subject of when you're dealing with your clients and their diet on the menstrual cycle, do you also kind of tap into what pharmaceuticals they may be taking to, that could influence those cycles as well? And do you start to hear anything about that, whether it's a thyroid drug or birth control, and how that could affect, that part of, I don't know how to word that.
Yeah. So, I take that into my inventory when we're doing our discovery call and stuff. It's a little out of the scope of my practice. So I'd rather refer them to a doctor. Also because I'm not a doctor, right? Like I am trying to give them the best health hacks that I can possibly give them. But getting into like the deep dives of thyroid health and the medications that they should be taking, what I would love to happen is you can heal your body with good food. Right? So we really look into the ingredients. And so I want everybody to start reading the ingredients of the products that they're buying. Okay. So in the States, I have an entire list of clean swap items, right? So for your brownies and your pizza and all of these things, eat them as long as it's clean, because it's not going to send an inflammatory response to your body. Right? So I'm living with a couple friends here in Thailand. They have the Hidden Valley Ranch. You know Hidden Valley Ranch. Yep. In their fridge. Number one ingredient is canola oil, followed by water, sugar, MSG. The list is just disgusting, right? And this is what we're eating all the time. You're not just having a tablespoon of it. You're dousing your food in this ranch. And so I know that you talked about it on other podcasts and stuff, but seed oils, if you could take away one thing, it would be your oils, your bad oils. So canola, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, trash them. Look on the backs of your labels. Even going into a Trader Joe's, I'm like, go back to the States. I'm like, I get to buy from Trader Joe's again. And I get in there and half of their stuff, it's like sunflower oil, first ingredient. I won't touch it.
Why is that these seed oils are not great for you compared to like your olive oils, your coconut oils?
It's the way that they're processed. It's the way that they're refined. And what happens is it just causes that inflammatory response right away. But it's really cheap to manufacture and make, right? So the only oils that I want my clients consuming is going to be your olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter, some ghee, and most people will cook with these oils, but they sneak it into your chips and your hummus and, even like your roasted chicken meat. It's crazy how many products it's actually inside of.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I try to avoid as much processed food as possible. Have you explained to your clients and even your audience that's following you, like what is your diet typically through Monday to Friday? And everybody, I'm assuming you all have your cheat day once a week.
Yeah, good question. Look, I eat a really balanced meal, but I stick to what we talked about. So I stick to the fasting. I stick to proteins and fats on my first meal. And then I love telling people about the order in which you should eat your foods, right? So say you have a plate of, actually it was really funny. I'm sitting at a bar in Arizona. I'm with my sister and some friends, and we're having brunch, and they serve us eggs, hash browns, and some sausage. And I look to the stranger sitting next to me. I said, just randomly, I go, do you want a quick nutrition tip? And the guy goes, sure. And I looked at him, I said, what would you eat first on this plate? And he said, well, I dip the home fries in the ketchup. And I go, this is the problem, right? Great plate, right? I'm totally on board with someone eating some home fries. But again, we need to be eating the vegetable first, because what happens, vegetable gets digested, stomach into your intestines. The fiber creates this like meshy layer over the intestines. So then you eat your proteins and your carbs, your proteins and your fats. Then as soon as you eat your carbs, the carbs are now protected from the fiber from getting straight into the bloodstream, right? And that's the reason. So eat the home fries first and like sugar levels go up and then they'll come down a couple hours later. Eat the same plate in the different order and then your levels are going to be like this. So, I mean, I don't really restrict myself of a lot of foods. I definitely follow like the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I'm eating clean. And then 20% of the time I'm eating ice cream and cake and all the stuff that I love.
A lot of this information, you said your mom is a homeopathy doctor?
Yep.
Back in New Hampshire?
Yep.
When you went back home or your trips back home in between different places, how much of the knowledge are you picking up for her when you revisit?
So much. So she has been, she's been such a role model in my life and I've learned so much from her and I'm grateful for everything that she's taught me because I feel like I'm following in her footsteps. And so when I went home, my last trip after I left Thailand, it was the first time that I'd spent 3 or 4 months with her in my adult life. So they have this dairy cow. It's an A2 Jersey cow. She has actually reversed families that have been lactose intolerant just by giving them small doses of her A2 raw cow milk. So she has all these customers coming in, picking up their fresh milk and leaving. And every single one of them told me a story about how my mom has healed them with herbs and oils. So I was like, okay, what's the deal with these oils? And then slowly, like I started like collecting them and started using them in my day-to-day practice. And so I actually, I brought some to show you because this isn't a light bag. Like this is a heavy bag, but I would rather take my oils in my suitcase than an extra pair of high heels.
And you can get those in because they're under 100 milliliters. Let's do the what's in your oil bag segment.
What's in my oil bag? Okay. So the one that I use every single day is my lemon essential oil. Now, lemon is a great liver detoxer. Okay. But when you're squeezing
and we'll just let it, we're not selling anything here.
No, this is just
so they understand.
Talking. Yeah.
Because some people, anyways, continue.
Yeah, we're not, So lemon oil, okay? If you squeeze a fresh lemon, it's going to change the acidity in your stomach and slowly take the enamel off your teeth.
But are you, sorry, I might have missed that part. You're doing that first thing in the morning or when do you do that? Oh gosh,
I drink this all day.
All day, okay.
Yeah, this is a liter bottle. I'll put 4 drops in my liter bottle.
Okay.
And so there's 67 lemons make up 1 bottle of lemon oil. I'm going to leave this for you so that you can try it.
You're kind of changing, you're changing your pH level essentially?
No, it's pH neutral. So it's not changing the acidity in your stomach. So this is great. So you can't overdose on this. Okay. One of the other ones, I just made a post on this today actually. So oregano oil is made up of 80% monoterpenes. Now, antibiotics, the main ingredient in antibiotics is monoterpenes. Mm-hmm. So, but antibiotics will kill your good gut bacteria for up to 2 years, right? So now you're chasing your gut health just from taking 1 round of antibiotics. So the post I did yesterday, you take 6 drops of oregano oil, a couple drops of something else, and a couple drops of something else. And I'll do this for 7 days. And this is basically my support my immune system without taking antibiotics protocol.
Are you always putting it into your water? Are you putting it into your food? No, good question.
So with these hot oils, if you put this on your lips, it's going to burn. So I will put this one into empty veggie caps.
Okay.
So you can buy them on Lazada, wherever else, and then I'll just slowly drop them in. So that was a good point though. Some oils can be taken internally and some can't. And this is the reason why my mom got on a 2-year research project on trying to find out the best essential oil on the market. So she makes all of her own soaps and lotions. She has client orders come in all the time. She renders her own pig fat. She does it all. She went to the health food store, bought a bottle of organic lavender oil, came back, made the soap, gave it to her client. Her client broke out in a rash. And she's like, you can't break out in allergic rashes from oils. So she had it sent off to a third-party testing lab, and they had filled it with synthetic fillers and toxins, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like you got to look at the efficacy and the source of the oil company because you can buy them on Amazon or Lazada or at the mall, but you don't know what they're actually putting in it. Okay, so please don't take a lemon oil internally unless it says on the bottle can be taken internally. That's a really...
Yeah, well, it's like any type of supplement. Like I know I've gone down the road with mushroom supplements, and what we start to find out is a lot of these competitors that are able to sell for half the price, they're just using a lot of filters like maltodextrins. And now they're not bad for you. I don't know if maltodextrin is. It's just a filler, essentially. Yep. And again, what is the source? Where are you getting it from? And I've asked that question, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I've asked myself, well, when I get a pill of vitamin C, what is that? I get it. It's a hard capsule of vitamin C. Where does that come from? But
you don't know.
No,
and that's why it's like, look, find someone that's put the research already in, right? You don't have time to go researching your vitamin C and your probiotics. Yeah. Find someone and this is the problem, that when you go to the pharmacy, they're not really breaking it down for you, right? Everybody knows that we should be taking a fish oil and a probiotic and all of these other things.
But where's it coming from?
Where's it coming from, and which brand should I buy?
Yeah, the one brand I do trust, it's just hard to get in Thailand. It's called Life Extensions. You got to import from the US, and then
same thing with these.
You got to use iHerb, and iHerb's so annoying to bring into Thailand because you can only max purchase like 3,000 baht. But when I like to go on my supplement spree, I have no problem spending 20,000 baht, but just get it done, ship it here, and last 6 months. But then on iHerb, it's like, you order 3,000 and then it maxes out and you got to do another order. And now you got like 20 different DHL tracking. It's a nightmare.
That's So
where are you getting
problem.
Where are you getting those?
This doTERRA is sold worldwide into most countries, but not. You can get the oils in Thailand, actually.
Okay.
The oils will ship straight to Thailand, but not their supplements. So I'm taking their whole supplement line as well: digestive enzymes, probiotics, my fish oils, everything. Because like I said, my mom's already done all the research for me. Yeah. And I've seen them, like, you never know if your vitamins are working, right? Like, you take them, but then you actually don't feel a difference. I know that when I don't take my vitamins, I don't feel as good. They've really helped clear up I used to have really bad acne and constipation, and I was losing my hair and all of these other things. And then when I went back to the States and started getting on these supplements, everything changed. And that's when I was like, all right, Mom, you got me. I'm a believer now. Okay, so turmeric and cassia. Cassia is just a branch of cinnamon, so cinnamon bark. So I'll actually put a drop of these in my coffee every morning, staying fasted. Cassia is a good sweetener. So instead of a stevia or something like that, and it's also good for regulating blood sugar levels. And then obviously we know turmeric is great for inflammation support. So, but yeah, I mean, I will travel with these like you. I don't mind spending money on supplements because I'm never sick. I never have to go to I'm traveling to all these countries in and out of airports, and I'm never sick. So I know that I'm supporting my immune system and it's working.
And how many oils do you have there? Are they all different ones, or?
They're all different. They're all for a different purpose.
Are you taking all of them every single day?
No.
Okay.
No. Just my favorites: lemon, lime, and grapefruit. I'll put into my water every day. The oregano I'm only going to take if I'm feeling sick. This one is called Claricom, and this is really good right before I get my period. And if I have like cramping, I'll just roll it ovary to ovary. And then lavender is great. Lavender is great for restful. It's a very grounding oil, so I'll put it on the bottoms of my feet before I go to bed. But there's one called Motivate, and it's like an uplifting blend. So when I'm working and need to feel inspired, I'll just kind of like roll it like clavicle to clavicle, put a little bit on my wrist.
And what's in it?
This one is a blend of lots of citrus, right? So citrus are known to be uplifting oils because they're hanging from a tree, right? So I'll be like diffusing. Okay, this is crazy. Everybody makes fun of me for this too, but I travel with a portable diffuser that I can plug into my laptop. So when I'm sitting there, I'm diffusing oils because a Yankee Candle, right? I used to love Yankee Candle, Bath and Body Works, all those fragrancy things, right? You light a candle, within 20 minutes, the chemicals of the fragrances are then being absorbed straight into your body, right? Your skin is your largest organ. And now your body has to detoxify all the chemicals that have just been in your candle. So instead, diffusing oils are a great way to get the benefits from it without overburdening your system.
So I didn't understand what you mean by diffusing.
Okay, so it's like this little thing that plugs into my computer. Well, you can plug it into anywhere, but you put the oils in water.
Oh, okay.
And then it diffuses up.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's powerful. So I'll diffuse lavender at night before I go to bed, and then like a citrusy wild orange or something for when I'm working.
Interesting. I read one thing that taking too many oils could have could lead to complications with your lungs, maybe by ingestion. Meaning that like if you were taking 20 oils in a day, it's just so much oil going into your lungs. I was reading a study on that because initially when we were getting into the mushroom supplements, there are companies, especially one in Australia called Life Cycle, and they do tinctures. And that was the one thing that I read about that. Be careful with the oils because if you take them too much, it could be issues with your lungs. Now, however, is that the capsule industry fighting the oil industry? Who knows?
Yeah, I have actually never heard that before, but I don't think that, I'm putting like 4 drops of water in my lemon and then like a couple drops here to diffuse. So yeah, maybe if you're internally taking them at a high level, there could be issues. But I think for when I'm, doing bit by bit, it hasn't been a problem.
What like base are they using for, let's say, like a lemon oil? Like, is it mixed with like
That's
a coconut oil? Like, how does that come? How are they actually making the oil besides just the citrus?
I actually don't know like the science behind the extraction process. It's very advanced. It's very advanced. And so some of them like, Melaleuca it's a great for your skin. Mm-hmm. And I will combine that with some like fractionated coconut oil or something. So putting it in. But yeah, as far as the oils, I don't know the science behind it.
Let's jump into what's in your supplement bag.
Okay.
I obviously, Dave Asprey. Everybody does especially if you're talking about bulletproof coffee. I've always been confused on what supplements, vitamins to take with which others and at which times. Obviously we can't talk about all of them. Are there some like, tips, rules, rule of thumb, like you should take your magnesium before bed type of thing? Some information you could share with us.
Yeah. So, like I said, my mom being the doctor and the researcher of the family, she did the research project on the doTERRA Lifelong Vitality Pack and the supplements that they've been taking. And so I have just been following the protocol from them. So it's 3 main bottles of your A, D, E, and K, your fish oils and all of that. But then they have a pre and a probiotic and a digestive enzyme. And I really believe in today's environment, I believe that the number one problem in Americans is we are nutrient deficient, right? And so where you're not getting the same quality of vegetable from the soil these days, right? We're not getting all the pre's and all the probiotics that we need in our diet. So you have to be supplementing it with something. So pre and probiotic for sure. And then a digestive enzyme, I'll take that 30 minutes before my meal to help get the digestion ready system going so that your food can become more bioavailable. Because even if you're eating healthy, you're eating clean, you're eating good meats and stuff, your body's not absorbing everything, right? So if we can take an enzyme to help break down and make that process easier, you're going to get more for your food, right? Think of how much money you spend on food. Like I spend a lot, right? Especially if you're buying grass-fed and organic, it's quality food. But say your body's not absorbing maybe even 50% of it. Taking a digestive enzyme is a simple way to get more out of those nutrients.
Could you get the probiotic from food on its own instead of actually having to take a capsule?
Yeah, for sure. Lots of probiotics in like fermented foods, right?
Like
kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles, kefir. There is a great shop if you're on the island and you're in near Naiharn Lake. There's that little convenience store called Papaya Market, and they sell coconut milk kefir and cow milk kefir. They sell some kimchi. And then Macrobiotic World is like right next door. So those are the 2 that I go to find all my fermented foods. And then we have to be eating prebiotics as well. Artichokes, Brussels sprouts, some nuts. Because if your body's not ready to absorb the if your body's not ready to absorb the pro, you're just going to flush it out.
So the prebiotic you're taking before your meals, do you mean?
You should just be having tons of pre's in general.
What's the difference between pre and pro?
Well, the pre gets your body ready to absorb the pro, which is all really good for your immune system. But a lot of times people go to the store and they're like, yeah, I'm taking a probiotic. It has billions of strains. But if you're just taking, and that's why the one that I'm taking is a pre and a pro. It's a double encapsulated timed release, so that it can hit both pathways. If you're just taking the pro, maybe start looking for a supplement that has both combined. But yeah, load up on your veggies and stuff. That's how you can naturally get it.
When you're looking for a probiotics supplement supplier, the capsule that they're giving you, is that product synthetic? How do they build it? How do you create a supplement of a probiotic, or is that just too scientific?
I have no idea on that question.
And I think, again, that comes down to who do you trust? So
Correct.
Did that come from your mom's side of, okay, we're going to, because I was watching your probiotic recent video on YouTube and really diving into that. And Phil was on the podcast and he was all about gut health as well.
Shout out to Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I sent him a message. He didn't reply on WhatsApp. Actually, you know what? I sent him a message. I said, you should come on together. And so he didn't. That
would have been great.
Phil, you didn't reply. Could have been the best podcast
Burpees,
ever.
10 burpee penalty.
But you're kind of just putting your trust in your mom on that side to say, okay, this product here I trust, and just, don't worry about the science. Let's go forward.
And I mean, I have seen dozens, if not, multiple testimonials for people that it's worked for, right? And so now this is the company that I trust to recommend for my clients, right? And as a doctor, right, she always says, like, we have to take an oath, do no harm.
Yeah.
Right. And so of course you should be doing they should be doing the research for their patients. And now I just get like the runoff of good news.
You were chatting about how when we're taking our macros in, let's say simple as protein, and it's not as bioavailable, and this could also be due to issues with tilling and how we actually we're able to produce our vegetables, such as, let's say, carrots, and you're not getting maximum B12 supply, and that's simply from over-tilling from at least the past 100 years and whatnot. When clients come to you with these problems, are you giving just a little bit of direction on, like, I think, hey, you should supplement with maybe vitamin C, a little bit of B12, maybe some magnesium? Is that the kind of information that you're going to be giving to the clients when they're giving you their story?
Yeah, I think we have to start looking at the symptoms, right? And then it's my job to be like, okay, well, why is that happening? Like, why did she just break out with a rash? Why did they have eczema? Why is their anxiety through the roof? Like, let's start taking a look at that, and then I can give better recommendations per person. But I think in general, as a whole, these are the steps that everybody should be taking. We know that, like, cranberry, great for urinary tract infections. Now everybody's talking about, like, liver and organs. The number one most nutrient dense food in the world is our organ meats. And so now they're coming out, because everyone's like, ugh, but now they're coming out with loads of, like, vitamins and capsules and stuff to be getting those nutrients into our system. So as soon as I get back to the States, I'm going to be adding that into my collection as well.
Are you eating a lot of like organs, liver, meat, kidney?
Okay, so I was living in Turkey for a while, and they had it on almost every menu. And so I would get it when I was living there. Here you can find it from, like, the little cart, like, riding down the street sometimes, you know. Can you find it here?
I've seen pig or cow liver. I've seen it at the grocery store.
Chicken hearts. I've found chicken hearts here.
They're just so crunchy. It's like the texture's weird.
Okay, so my tip for that is to put them in the freezer and then blend them in your smoothie. Okay. You really don't taste it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to eat organ meat, even like cow liver. Cow liver, it's almost rubbery, and like you can eat it, I guess, with like I think, again, it'd probably be better to make it like into a pate or something.
Or take it in supplement form.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
The technology now that they're able to pull all those nutrients, and so I'm gonna add that one. But you brought up magnesium, and I just wanted to show you guys. This can be, I buy it on Amazon back in the States, but I know you can get in Dubai and some other countries and stuff. But Calm Magnesium has been a game changer, and so I will take this right before I go to bed, like you said. But again, like, this isn't light, and I don't mind carrying this in my suitcase with me, just because, like, my supplements are my non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. I would rather take care of that side of things, because I know that long term it's preventative health, right? I don't want to be at the doctors in the middle of a foreign country that I don't know what their systems are. Yeah,
I guess that's your insurance policy there.
Bingo.
Do you get vegetarians or vegans that approach you, and then they're coming to you, maybe with diet problems, and then obviously they're looking to lose weight and get into some sort of routine, and do you push, hey, I think maybe you should be not, I don't know how I word that.
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to call it names, but I think that some of my most unhealthy clients are my vegetarians and vegans. They just suffer from so many different issues.
Can they get proper nutrition on those diets?
I don't believe so, right? And I listen to a lot of people in this field, and everyone, right? Everyone they've tried it. A lot of people have tried a vegan or vegetarian diet, and because that was the way that everything was getting pushed, right? This is the healthy way, blah, blah, blah. And then they realized they started having all these health complications. And that's when they came back over to meat. And now that's what everyone's saying to go with. But I don't think that you can get the right amount of aminos, the right amount of micronutrients into their systems without eating some kind of meat.
Is there any way to supplement that without eating meat?
I would say beef flavored pills. Yep. And some are open to it, some aren't. And I'm like, at that point, I don't know that our values necessarily align, and so it's hard for me to give them the right recommendations because they're probably low on protein, super high on carbs, blood sugar levels all over the place, and now their adrenals are all messed up.
I went to Copenhagen, I don't know, 2-3 years, at least 3 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try vegan for 5 days. I lasted 2. The problem I found right away is my energy levels crashed. And I would get a lot of these like blood sugar, spikes throughout the day the food I was eating there. And again, these places like Copenhagen and Nyhavn, you have the options, but it never really answered that hunger pain. And I got to eat, I probably eat meat twice a day, like a chicken breast here, a steak there, and even fish and whatnot. But I've never understood, if you're not doing this, even a carnivore diet or just a healthy, well-balanced diet without this type of protein, how can you stay healthy? I don't know the answer, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either. After Game Changers came out, right, years ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So yeah. I think I tried to be a vegetarian for about 3 weeks. And I don't know if this was just a coincidence or what, but I got the worst injury of my life at my 3-week mark. And after that, I said, this isn't for me. And I went back to eating meat, and I've basically been injury free ever since. Weird coincidence or not, I was like, I felt the same. Low energy, and if someone wants to take a couple days and go veggie, fine, do it. But make sure that you're getting in enough protein with, your tempeh or whatever, your eggs, if you're eating eggs. And then the other days, you're also getting enough protein, because that's the number one thing I see is in your typical American diet, people aren't hitting their protein goals. Not even the number one question I get asked by my clients is they're like, Coach, I'm not even coming close to the macro goal that you just prescribed me. How do I get 150 grams a day?
Yeah, it's let's be honest, it's very difficult. I've tried I use my macros. It was another app I was using and calculating my macros per day in terms of protein, and it's for every pound you weigh, you should have 1 gram of protein.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm like 200 pounds. I'm like, try to eat 200 pounds of protein. It's impossible. It's not easy. So I try to just find that balance. Okay, I'll eat as long as I'm eating it every meal, but to actually hit those protein goals,
it's another job.
It's very difficult.
The other thing that I love, especially for healing gut health, is bone broth.
Yep.
Getting in, a cup a day. So when I'm in a good routine, I will break my fast with a cup of bone broth. So you're getting tons of collagen. You're getting all of those nutrients from the bone marrow, right? So if a vegetarian's open to having a chicken or beef bone broth, that's another way to supplement and stuff. But bone broth would definitely be the way to go.
Would you make it yourself?
When I'm living someplace that I can get some bones, absolutely. And if not, I travel with packets. So I travel with organic beef bone packets that I'll take around. But yeah, it should be easy enough here on the island to, find some bones of some sort, or at least, get them in supplement form.
Are you able to do that with any type of animal? Chicken, pig, cow?
You could. My sister asked me if she could do it with fish bones, and I was like, I don't know. I've never done research on fish bone broth.
Seems like you would need a lot.
You would need a lot, yeah.
I think probably pork, pig is probably the easiest bone to get your hand on here.
Or chicken, yeah.
Is there,
I wonder if you go to Macros, if they have it frozen already. I know in the States you can buy the bones frozen.
Well, at these Tesco's you can get the pork knuckle and all that. Perfect. That might be enough, right?
Perfect. Yep. So really easy to do. So if you're getting them frozen, I would roast the bones for about 40 minutes, take them out, cover them with water, and then I would add carrots, onions, celery. I would sprinkle in some Celtic or sea salt. I would also put a tablespoon or 2 of apple cider vinegar inside, and then let that simmer for, 12, 16 hours.
Just like in a pot, boiling it in a pot.
In a pot or in a Instapot or a slow cooker.
But you said, so you're cooking it first.
You're roasting the bones like to bring more of the nutrients out in the oven.
Got it.
Yep. Okay. And then transfer that to a pot.
And then once you have that broth from the vegetable and let's say whatever,
strain it out.
That you throw in the garbage, like the fiber, all that, and then you keep. Now, can you freeze that? Do you lose the potency when you're freezing this stuff, or does it stay?
Yeah, it definitely will go bad after 4 or 5 days or so. So if I'm making I'll make a double batch. And so, I will for sure freeze them in just small little jars so I can take them out kind of one at a time.
And how much would be enough? Like 300 milliliters or?
A cup? I mean, a cup or two.
A cup.
Yeah, like a mug full.
Yeah, that's really something I was thinking to add to my diet. I've read a lot about it, especially from things like pork, which is super high in collagen.
Yep.
And that's why a lot of, they say like the Chinese, especially these Asians, why their skin looks so great. It's
the collagen.
They eat so much pork belly.
Yep.
So much pork belly, and their skin looks immaculate.
I mean, one supplement that everybody should have on their shelves is a good form of collagen. Collagen will give you an extra 12 to 18 grams of protein. You can put it in your smoothie, your soup, your coffee. I mean, it's so diversified. And it's great for hair, skin, nails, gut health. I mean, so there's all different kinds of protein, right? You have like your whey, your casein, your plant-based, whatever. So I'm right now taking a collagen protein powder and a veggie protein powder.
Would you stay away from, let's say, I think, what do I have down? Gold Standard?
Whey? Yeah. So for all of my years competing in CrossFit, I was taking the Optimum Nutrition whey protein. That's what they sell it on the shakes on the soy. I'm like, oh, this is what everybody's taking. And when I started digging into more nutrition, more reading the ingredients, if you actually look at the ingredients, it's gross. It's all chemicals. It's all additives. It's all preservatives. And then I was like, oh, that's why my stomach hurts all the time. I felt bloated. I felt heavy after I drank a shake. And I'm like, look, this shake was just, my protein and my water. Why am I feeling like this? And that's when I switched over to a plant-based one. And I do feel a lot better taking a plant-based one.
And do you get that on the island, or where would you get?
No, I'm getting it Sunflower Warrior from a bunch of different countries. But I think Optimum Nutrition does sell a plant-based one in Thailand. That's the one I've been seeing. But Lazada sells the sunflower one.
Okay.
So you can find it on Lazada.
And what about coconut protein powder?
Oh, I've not heard about that one.
My girlfriend takes that, and
how many grams of protein?
It says 24, but that's the one argument, or I don't really understand as well. It's when you go when it's not like a meat-based protein, even though it's 24, is 24 bioavailable?
Correct.
I don't believe it is.
And how many grams of protein can you eat in one sitting?
I think
that's the other thing. It's
20, 24 max, right?
Well, I've heard a little bit higher, but somewhere between 20 and 40 grams.
That's why you can't just come back and take 8 scoops of protein. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. And that's the argument for vegetarians as well. They're like, yeah, but I get protein from my broccoli, and there's 6 grams, blah blah. Yeah, but you're not absorbing all of that 6 as well, and that's something that I guess they don't teach you in school.
Nope.
Now you're back on the island. You recently came back. You came back, you left, and you came back again. Do you want to talk a little bit about that story and what was going on?
I mean, now that I'm like working remotely and have the opportunity to travel and see the world, and I just did like 4 months throughout Europe and Turkey. And the coolest thing is that everywhere I went, I met up with someone that I've met in Thailand. I mean, for people that have never been here, the friends that you meet here, you just have this incredible connection with. And so, I mean, I was going all over and just like, meeting up, coffee, whatever. And so I guess my plan is going to be basing myself between Thailand, Dubai, the States, and elsewhere. But, part of me, like I come back to the island and I'm like, oh, this isn't real life. Like I should be going back to America and settling down and buying a house and doing all these things. And my parents are like, yes, you need to buy a house. And then I come here and like, nobody has stress here, right? There's not that level of anxiety that you get anywhere else in the world. So I think having this like little trio of countries that I can work from, my goal is really to help as many people as I possibly can. And so I love what I do. Absolutely love what I do. When I get my transformation pictures from my clients and stuff, I get this level of excitement that is just, it's so much energy, you know? And so when someone signs up with my program, they get weekly accountability calls. And so I'll block my day out and I'll just do back-to-back 15-minute calls with my clients, making sure that they're following the plan, holding them accountable to what they're going to do that next week. And I get off the calls and I feel like I've just had 10 cups of coffee, you know, because of the energy that we're providing and sending through. And I'm a big energy person as well anyways, but I'm able to take that on the road. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to keep traveling and then come back in December.
So you're going to be leaving Phuket shortly, or?
Yep. I think I'm going to head to Bali for the month of August. I need to be back in the States for September for a family reunion and a wedding. And then I'll come back to Asia.
Well, I think you've been traveling around since 2008. I did my study abroad in Australia 2008.
You know.
I find once you break that barrier of, you know how to enter a new country, you kind of have an idea of, you know, I can find a home, you know, get that home base feel, dial into the grocery store, dial into your neighborhood. Once you've done that in multiple countries, you can do that anywhere. And I think that's probably why there's not a lot of stress on this side of the world. At the end of the day, if you want to simplify it, as long as you're eating well, you got a community, you know, you're comfortable in that area you're living in. But at the end of the day, if you have a roof over your head, why would you be stressed? And especially in these places around here where, you know, it's cheap as chips if you want to get something, you know, simple, and there's always something available. Which would be much different if you're back in the US, or, you know, you're going to have to sign a 2-year lease or a 1-year lease, and you're going to have to do a down payment, and now you're kind of locked into that. And here, everything is very flexible in that sense.
And like, you can come here and like, you don't have to, you know, you go to the States and I would have to furnish a full house. I'd have to get a car, get on all the insurance, it's so overwhelming to think about moving back to America. But when I come here, I can get a fully furnished house, cheap as chips, like you said. And I can get my blood work done here. I can get all my health stuff kind of covered when I'm in Asia. Eat like a queen, train at all of these different gyms and stuff. Traveling is definitely hard on routine. I love my routine and I love having structure. But on the other side of it is you get to see new places, try new foods, do new things. So there's always that balance.
And okay, so before we just hit 1.5, perfect. So before we wrap it up, yeah, I guess the only other thing that I noticed that now I have a fear to travel, and it's for anybody living in Thailand. Once you leave Thailand, you lose the bum gun. How do you survive? That's like my biggest fear. I'm like, I don't know, I can ever leave here again.
Yeah, no, I definitely miss it when I leave. That's so funny. Wet wipes. Wet wipes have been great.
But you start to realize the rest of the world's disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I'm stuck here for life. Someone out there, make a portable bum gun and figure out how that's going to work.
Man, that'd be crazy.
I don't know. Maybe you hook it up to the sink in some public washroom.
Or we just need to give you some wet wipes. That works too.
Yeah. So the final thing before we wrap it up, we're going to shoot the camera over to Joy, and she's just going to let you know where you can find her and what's going on if you want any more information of what she's doing in Phuket. But then again, she is traveling, so you can hit her up anytime, anywhere. So take it away. That's your camera there.
All right, guys. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Coach Joyous05, Joyous. I'm also on Facebook, Joy Summers, SOMERS. If you are looking to lose weight, get on top of your hormones and your health, hit me up. I would love to set you in the right direction and get you on a plan that will be sustainable for life. I'm all about being able to eat your favorite foods and get results. So I love and welcome any questions. Hit me up and talk to you soon.
Perfect. Okay, that ends another episode of Fruiting Body Podcast. Next week's guest, I don't know yet. Do we know? We're a bit tired today. We'll figure it out. I definitely wasn't spot on. This damn HIIT class is kicking my ass in the mornings. Okay, thanks a lot, Joy, for joining us today. I always sound like a radio host at the end.
Sawadee ka.
Sawadee kap. Kap and kap. And we're out.